Have you ever wondered why the weather in western and eastern Washington state is so different? Today, we're diving into this intriguing question, exploring the diverse climates and landscapes that make up this fascinating region. From the lush, rain-soaked forests of the west to the arid, sun-drenched plains of the east, Washington is a state of striking contrasts. What's the story behind these weather disparities? How did they come to be? Stay tuned as we unravel the mystery behind this fascinating weather phenomena. To understand the current weather patterns, we must take a step back in time. Picture Washington state thousands of years ago. Back then, the region was not divided by the Cascade Range, a mountain range that now plays a pivotal role in the state's contrasting climates. The weather was more or less the same across the land, with no significant divergence between the east and the west. It was a time when the state was painted with a broad brush of uniformity, where the rain fell evenly and the sun shone with equal intensity from the sandy shores to the fertile plains. The climate was primarily maritime, characterized by mild, wet winters and warm, dry summers. People lived harmoniously with the land, adapting to the climate and making the most of what nature provided. But then, something changed. So, what brought about this drastic shift in weather patterns, you may be wondering? Well, the answer lies in the fascinating tale of our planet's geological history. The creation of the Cascade Range, a major mountain range extending from southern British Columbia through Washington and Oregon to northern California, played a pivotal role. This monumental geological event didn't just happen overnight. Over millions of years, tectonic forces pushed up the Earth's crust, creating the rugged, majestic peaks we see today. But this wasn't just about the formation of a beautiful landscape. These mountains had a profound impact on the weather. They acted and continue to act like a massive wall, altering the course of the wind and trapping moisture. This phenomenon is known as the rain shadow effect. As weather systems move in from the Pacific Ocean, they hit the western slopes of the Cascade Range, dumping copious amounts of rain. The mountains effectively block these systems from moving eastward. This causes the western side to be lush and rainy, while the eastern side ends up much drier and sunnier. Over time, this led to a significant divergence in the weather patterns between western and eastern Washington. The west, with its abundant rainfall, developed into temperate rainforests, while the east, receiving far less rain, morphed into arid scrublands and grasslands. The wind patterns were also affected. Prevailing westerlies, winds that blow from the west, are forced to rise by the Cascades. As they rise, they cool and condense, forming clouds and precipitation. Once they've passed over the top, they descend, warming and drying out, causing the eastern side to be much drier. This divergence wasn't a one-off event. It's a dynamic, ongoing process, influenced by many factors, including changes in global climate patterns and even subtle shifts in the Earth's orbit. The result? Two distinct climates on either side of the same mountain range. The lush, rainy west with its towering evergreens, and the dry, sunny east with its rolling hills and fertile farmland. And thus, the climate we know today began to take shape. Let's delve into the distinctive weather patterns of western and eastern Washington. Our journey begins on the western side, where the climate is predominantly marine. This means it's typically cool in the summers, mild in the winters, and let's be honest, quite rainy. This is largely due to the Pacific Ocean's influence, which brings moisture-laden air masses inland. But it's not all about the ocean. The Cascade Range plays a crucial part too. Imagine the Cascade Range as a giant wall. When these moist air masses hit this wall, they're forced upwards. As they rise, they cool down and condense, forming clouds and, you guessed it, rain. This process is known as orographic lift, and it's the reason why the western side of the Cascades is so lush and green. Let's hop over this wall to the eastern side, where the climate is a stark contrast. Here, it's more of a semi-arid steppe climate. The summers are hotter, the winters are colder, and rainfall is much less frequent. This is because by the time those air masses have climbed over the Cascades, they've lost most of their moisture. What descends on the eastern side is a drier, warmer air, resulting in fewer clouds and less precipitation. This phenomenon is referred to as a rain shadow effect. But it's not just about rain and temperature. The weather difference also leads to varying wind patterns. Western Washington experiences frequent coastal breezes, while eastern Washington is known for its occasional strong windstorms. What's fascinating is how these contrasting climates coexist within a relatively small geographical area. all thanks to the Cascades, acting as a natural weather barrier, dividing the state into two distinct climate zones. So with such a stark contrast in weather, you might be wondering, so how does this affect the people living there? Well, we're about to find out in the next segment. The weather does more than just decide if you'll need an umbrella for the day. Indeed, the distinct weather patterns of western and eastern Washington play a pivotal role in shaping the state's lifestyle, agriculture, population distribution, and economic activities. Let's dive into how these differences impact each of these areas. Starting with lifestyle, the milder, wetter climate of western Washington lends itself to outdoor activities year-round. Hiking, boating, and fishing are popular pastimes, while the rainy weather also inspires a vibrant arts and culture scene, with cozy coffee shops and galleries aplenty. Switching gears to eastern Washington, the hotter, drier summers and snowy winters appeal to those who enjoy a more diverse seasonal experience. Skiing, snowboarding, and ice fishing take center stage in the winter, while summer brings opportunities for wine tasting, as the region is known for its flourishing vineyards. Let's talk about agriculture. Western Washington's temperate, rainy weather is perfect for dairy farming and growing crops like apples, berries, and leafy greens. In contrast, eastern Washington's arid climate is ideal for wheat, potatoes, and grapes, which contributes to a robust wine industry. These weather-driven agricultural differences also shape the economy. Western Washington is a hub for dairy and organic produce, supplying the local and national market. On the other hand, eastern Washington's grain and wine production has a significant export value, contributing to the state's economic health. Let's consider population distribution. The moderate climate of western Washington, combined with its proximity to the ocean, attracts a larger population. Cities like Seattle and Tacoma are bustling urban centers. Eastern Washington, while less densely populated, offers a quieter, rural lifestyle with smaller towns and wide open spaces. The climate of western and eastern Washington isn't just a topic for weather enthusiasts. It's a key factor influencing the way people live, work, and play in the Evergreen State. From the food on our plates to the industries that drive the economy, weather shapes every aspect of life. Closing. Indeed, the weather has shaped Washington State in more ways than one. We've journeyed through time and across landscapes to understand the weather of Washington State. Our exploration has led us from the state's ancient uniform climate to the contrasting weather patterns we see today. We've discovered that these changes are not random, but rather the result of a fascinating interplay of natural elements. We started our journey in a time when the weather of Washington State was largely the same across its expanse. Yes, believe it or not, there was a time when the East and the West experienced similar weather patterns. But as we've seen, things didn't remain that way forever. As we moved forward in time, we unraveled the mystery of the changing climate. The mighty Cascade Range, with its towering peaks and rugged terrain, emerged as the leading character in this climatic drama. Acting as a natural barrier, the Cascades began to play a pivotal role in differentiating the weather between the eastern and western parts of the state. On the one hand, we have the western region, which is largely influenced by the Pacific Ocean's moist air. This results in a more temperate maritime climate characterized by mild, wet winters and cool, dry summers. On the other hand, we have the eastern region, which lies in the rain shadow of the Cascades. Here, the climate is more continental, marked by colder winters, hotter summers, and significantly less rainfall. But our story doesn't end with the weather patterns. We've also looked at the profound impact these contrasting climates have on life, economy, and population in Washington State. From the flourishing agriculture in the east, thanks to the hot, dry summers, to the thriving tech industry in the west, due to the mild, comfortable climate. The weather shapes the way people live, the jobs they do, and even where they choose to reside. In conclusion, the weather in Washington State is a tale of two halves, each with its unique climate, shaped by the natural barriers and influenced by the Pacific Ocean and the Cascade Range. These climatic differences create a diverse landscape that supports varied ecosystems and economic activities, making Washington State a unique and fascinating place to live and explore. Next time you step outside, remember, you're not just experiencing the weather, you're witnessing a tale of time and transformation. Thank you for joining us on this meteorological journey.